Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about biotic and abiotic factors. What these are different factors that can affect the population of a particular species within a habitat. So, to begin with, I'm going to talk to you about biotic factors. Now, the prefix bio means living, so biotic factors are living things that can change and alter the population of other living things. So, we're going to have a look at two different aspects of this. So first of all, we're going to look at this thing called competition. Now, a nice illustration of this is with squirrels. There's two types of squirrel that still live within the UK, the red squirrel and the grey squirrel. Now, there used to be many more red squirrels living across the UK, but in about the 1800s, the grey squirrels were introduced to the UK. Now, they were both competing for the same resources, for the same food, for example. Now, the grey squirrels, being somewhat stronger and bigger, outcompeted the red squirrels. So the introduction of these grey squirrels, a biotic factor, because the grey squirrels are living, it affected the population of the red squirrels. So competition is a really good example of an alteration in a biotic factor, the changing of a biotic factor. Another key point is predators, another biotic factor that could be introduced. So imagine, let's say we have both of these squirrels coexisting. If we were to introduce a predator, such as this fox here, again, it's a biotic factor because it's a living thing, it would alter the numbers of these squirrels because the fox could prey on these squirrels. So the number of squirrels, the population could decrease. So again, we're looking at a biotic factor. The other type of factors that we're going to look at are abiotic factors. Now, these are the non-living things that can alter the population of an organism within an ecosystem. So there's four things that we're going to look at. Number one is temperature. So remember, temperature is abiotic because temperature is obviously non-living. So I'm just going to draw a quick picture of a thermometer. So essentially, different animals and plants thrive best at different temperatures. Some thrive best in higher temperatures, some thrive best in lower temperatures. So the temperature can have an effect on the distribution of organisms within an ecosystem. The next factor, abiotic again because it's non-living, is water. So the amount of water can massively influence the distribution of organisms. For example, daisies grow best in soils that are slightly damp. So if there's too much water or it's too dry, we'll have no daisies whatsoever. And that's just one illustration of how water affects the distribution of organisms. Let's say there's a drought. If there's very little water at all, there'll be very few plants growing whatsoever because plants require water in order to photosynthesize. So, those are two abiotic factors. The next one is light intensity. So how much light there is available within an ecosystem. So, this can also massively influence the distribution of organisms. For example, certain things like fungi and mosses grow best in dark conditions, so whereas things like grasses may be better in lighter conditions. So the light intensity, again, abiotic because it's non-living, massively affects the population of different organisms. And finally, the last one we're going to look at is pollutants. And here's just a little power plant I'll draw here. Okay, so pollutants can also affect the population of different species. For example, sulfur dioxide, SO2, can mean that certain things called lichens, it affects the growth of certain organisms called lichens, which means they can't grow. You can actually learn more about this in the video about indicator species. But again, if we have certain pollutants, it might cause a decrease in certain organisms. Or In the case of eutrophication, again in another video, we could see that pollutants can actually increase the growth or encourage the growth of plants like algae. So just to summarise, there's two types of factors, biotic and abiotic. Biotic are living. So if animals compete against each other, they can affect each other's population. If we introduce predators, it can again cause a decrease in the population of the prey. The 4 abiotic factors you need to know are temperature, water, light intensity and pollutants, and all 4 of these can also influence the distribution and population of organisms within an ecosystem. Thank you.